Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the week. We're almost finished with our 50th anniversary trip. Today, we're coming to you from Lake Tahoe. And when we get to that, you'll see it's very cloudy looking, it's not actually clouds, it's smoke. And if you recall, back in 21, there were tremendous fires in that area. In fact, they thought they might lose the city of South Lake Tahoe. It was right up to the city's edge. But even after the fires at this point, when we're recording, actually had been put out in that area, but they were still up in the mountains around. So it was very, very smoky and not as beautiful as normal. But we went ahead, we said it was certainly livable, and it still was enjoying God's beauty. But that's why it looks so overcast. And we were shooting there right on the beach of Lake Tahoe. So that's kind of the backstory. Now, as we get into the meat for this show and what it's about, I think that you're going to be blessed. Listen to the verse for the day and then see how it ties in with what you'll see. I'm going to give you our verse for the day, and then I'll bring up what the topic is, and I think you'll see how it fits. But it's an important verse to know anyway, and it comes from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3 at verse 11. And Solomon, who wrote this, King Solomon, says, He, God, has made everything beautiful in its time. In its time. Now, I bring that up because as we were driving here to Lake Tahoe, we went by Mount Shasta. Mount Shasta is over 14,000 feet high. It, of course, as you probably already know, is a volcano. It's a volcano, and it got that high because as it erupted over time, it built up. And today, it's a big mountain. You know, in Colorado, there are the key number is if it's over 14,000 feet and you climb it, that's a big deal. Well, Mount Shasta is a big deal. But it's not unique. Now look how beautiful it is. It wasn't beautiful when it was erupting, was it? But I took these pictures just because I was in awe of the beauty that God has set forth in Mount Shasta. Now, you see the same thing, don't you? At Mount Rainier in Washington and Mount Hood in Oregon. They are both volcanoes too. As was, we were talking about yesterday, Lassen National Park. That's a hotbed of volcanic action, that whole park, that whole area. In fact, as we drove around Lassen and through much of the area, miles and miles and miles of lava. Not current lava, obviously, but lava that has cooled and become part of the earth. I tried to get that in these pictures to get the feel of lava. Volcanoes are so destructive. I remember being in Manila, the Philippines, not long after the volcano that's local to there had erupted. And everywhere, literally mountains of ash. Everything was white. This was a little bit north of Manila, not in the city itself. But it was so terrible. And it clogged the water systems. It ruined car paint. It was extremely destructive, even if you weren't hurt by the lava itself or the eruption. By the way, yeah, you can see a tour boat behind me, and people are all lined up to get on it, so I thought it'd be interesting. I don't know if they'll go on during the show or not, but if they do, just enjoy that, because you know what they're doing? They're going out to see the beauty of Lake Tahoe. And it is still beautiful. They go to Emerald Bay, I think it is, and it's still, even with the smoke, lovely. Anyway, these volcanoes are not isolated. They are part of what's known as the Ring of Fire. And I don't know if you can see on this picture, but the Ring of Fire circles the whole Pacific Ocean. And these are just the local volcanoes. But in part of that Ring of Fire was the one that I saw the results of there in the Philippines at one point. I'm not sure why God did it that way at all. But evidently it's quite the active area of volcanoes, really, in the world. The Ring of Fire. But that's why I brought this verse up. Because the Ring of Fire, actually, we don't know why God does these things, do we? But we do know the end result. By the way, of course, every time there's like these volcanic things, a lot of times it causes tsunamis. And tsunamis cause such destruction around, from man's perspective, around the whole Pacific Rim. If you're, well, in many places you and I go to, there's signs that say tsunami warning if you want to get out of this area. No, they're very dangerous. They're very dangerous. But all of it is in God's plan. And He brings beauty from ashes. And He says, He has made everything beautiful in its time. It's just another one of God's ways of creating renewal and showing off His beauty. And why? Well, the rest of that verse, which I didn't read initially, let me read it now for you. And it says, He has made everything beautiful in its time. And He has also set eternity in the hearts of men. Interesting that He puts that phrase, eternity in the hearts of men, right in there with that He makes everything beautiful. Because whether it's Mount Shasta, whether it's something else, when you see God's beauty on display, what's your heart do? You know, when I come up here, one of the reasons I love coming here, I see God's beauty on display. And what's that do? It reminds me of Him, and He already has set eternity in the hearts of men. So it makes us think about eternity, and that's the Lord. He goes on, yet they cannot fathom what God has done from the beginning to the end. We don't understand. We've already, much of this 10 minutes, we've been talking about not understanding why God does things such as volcanoes and other destructive things that come from that. We don't fathom it, but we sure can understand that God uses it to demonstrate His power, His plan, and His love of beauty. And the eternity, the vacuum in our hearts, is in a way very much filled by seeing those types of things. And I really pray that it's doing that for you as you come with us every day on this trip and we see something new and different. And the thing that we're going to talk about and show you tomorrow is a total thing of beauty. And I hope you'll join us then.
Oh, come to the Father through Jesus the Son.